All right, welcome back everybody right here on the Now Morning Show. We are continuing the conversation on gender-based violence, violence against women and girls. The topic this morning is saving our girls and women. And I'm going to be speaking this morning with the CEO of Conflict Women, who is Asiya Mohammed. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for being with us this morning. Now, you represent the NGO Conflict Women. Tell us exactly what Conflict Women is about.
Yeah, so we're a social business and we work to train and empower rape and domestic violence survivors. So the way we do it is through entrepreneurship. We provide free business training, free business mentorship, as well as seed capital for rape and domestic violence survivors who might have a great business idea, but they may not necessarily have the support, or they may not know how to launch out or start that business. So we support them in that way. And right now, for example, we have our Survivor Pitch program going on, where the survivors, it's a 6-month program. They get free training from facilitators, business experts all around the world. They also get paired with a mentor who's an experienced and very successful entrepreneur. And then finally, they have the opportunity in March, which is when the 6-month program ends, to pitch their idea to a panel of judges, and every single participant is going to go home with a grant for seed capital for their business. And the top 3 persons who participate in terms of the judges' criteria will receive additional financial awards. And we're very grateful to the British government for sponsoring and funding this program for rape and domestic violence survivors in Trinidad and Tobago, to really give them a way and the means for economic empowerment and financial empowerment outside of abuse.
Tell us what some of the benefits are of supporting women survivors in that way, where you help and support them start businesses and such. What are some of the main benefits of this?
Yeah, I think, so what happens is a lot of people always ask, if a woman is being abused or beaten, why does she stay in an abusive relationship, right? So before we can offer solutions, we actually need to analyze that. Many times a woman may want to leave, but does she have the finances put away to leave, right? Does she have a place, for example, to go to, a new home to go to? She may have children with the perpetrator. She may be financially dependent upon him. So in this way, when you can economically empower a survivor, she has a choice in terms of how she wants to move forward. And she is no longer only under the power and control of the abuser. So that's the perspective through which we're trying to end gender-based violence.
Now, I have a press release that Conflict Women put out since October last year. And, it spoke to the incidents where Reshma Kanchan and Tennille Cupid were lost as a result of gender-based violence. And since then, tragically, the list has become a lot longer. In this time of COVID-19, we have seen an upsurge in domestic violence cases and domestic violence being reported. How is Conflict Women ready to support women who are, going through domestic violence and gender-based violence right now?
Yeah, I mean, we usually do the training workshops, Carrie, and so what we've done is we have put all our workshops online. So what it does is it doesn't impact anyone because of the COVID-19 national regulations. Like, we had to basically make a decision, because usually all our workshops, all our training, all our facilitation is in person. Because, we face a lot of confidentiality and anonymity issues.
Right.
But like every other business in this country, we had to decide, domestic violence is rising, women are at home, they're being abused, and they were literally crying out for the continued workshops, which when we went into lockdown in March last year, I mean, there was no expectation this was going to last so long, right?
Right.
So we waited for another 2 to 3 months. We said, okay, we can start back with our in-person. And when we were going to, I mean, it simply wasn't possible, because we had a small window and then we went back into lockdown, like a semi-lockdown. And, in terms of gatherings, I mean, there were restrictions and so forth on the numbers, right? So we had to take a decision to pivot the business. So everything went online.
Right.
And so we've been able to provide a lot of the support through, online. So even if a survivor is in a situation where she is being abused, she can't leave the home, etc., through the computer, through the telephone, through the internet connection, we're able to support her. We're able to match her with a mentor. We're still able to get funds transferred to her for a business. And we've also been doing food hampers and food distributions for our survivors throughout the COVID period. It's not something that we've done in our years previously, but we basically respond to the needs on the ground. So we did have a lot of requests from our survivors for food hampers. So we've done since last year, March, I think it was 7 rounds of food hamper distribution.
And aside from doing these things on the ground, your organization is also helping to bring awareness to and to urge and push for some policy change and some amendments, such as the draft gender policy and the National Strategic Action Plan on Gender-Based and Sexual Violence. Tell us about your involvement and your lobbying, really, to help urge and get more people behind, lobbying for this change in this amendment.
Yeah, well, change happens at different levels, right? And we really need to have a multi-pronged approach. So we do our work directly with survivors, which is very fulfilling, very rewarding work, very much at the grassroots. I personally love impacting and creating change that way. But also, we have to recognize that as civil society, we are acting within a system, right? So if one of our survivors goes to family court and she is sitting there after being brutally beaten, waiting for hours and hours to get through with an interim protection order and to get a court date for maintenance and for custody and these kinds of things. I mean, that's not good, right? If the system fails, if they don't get the responses they require, that's a challenge. So what I should say is Conflict Women is part of the National Alliance for State Action to End Gender-Based Violence. And a few days ago, we issued another press release. Now the Alliance is made up of more than 20 organizations, all working on the issues of gender-based violence, domestic violence, rape, murder, etc. in this country. And we called what is going on now in terms of violence against women and girls a national emergency. And we reiterated our calls on government, to implement, to approve the draft strategy, the National Strategic Action Plan to End Gender-Based Violence, which has been before the cabinet since 2016. But this morning, I really want to say thank you to all the people who have been out in the streets, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So many people have been holding placards, participating in candlelight vigils. I know there's one organization, Act to Change Trinidad and Tobago, that is calling for a national strike tomorrow on the day that, they will have Andrea Barrett's funeral. So, I mean, we're seeing a lot of things, a lot of initiatives happening at the grassroots. And I think this is really important because we have to bring awareness to the issue, number one, but then number two, also our role as civil society and our role as the public is really to hold governments accountable, right? Why is it that we still don't have a national strategic action plan to end gender-based violence? But what we're seeing is a consistent rise in GBV across the board, whether it's rapes, whether it's young women, being murdered, women being abused and beaten by partners. So the government needs to treat with this as a national priority.
Yeah, definitely. With that, I want to say thank you so much for your input and your thoughts this morning. I do hope we can have a conversation in the future and continue doing the great work that you are doing at Conflict Women.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Yes, you as well. Have a great morning. All right, that was Asiya Mohammed, CEO of Conflict Women. You can reach out to them on social media and via their website as well and get more information. And if you are a survivor of rape, domestic violence, abuse, you can reach out to them and they can help lend support, even more so when it comes to entrepreneurship and the like, and gaining some sort of financial independence. All right, we're going to take a short break and come back. We have much more in the program, so stay right where you are.